Hi, my name is Ted, and this is Dice News, where we cover current events on a global scale. First up, PMCs are on the rise. PMC stands for Private Military Contractors who get paid to take part in global conflicts.
PMCs usually take on roles that are traditionally done by a country's military/intelligence agencies. These roles include logistics, training, consultation, tactical battlefield operations, and counter-piracy. So the question is, why do people become private military contractors? Well, obviously, most PMC contractors are former military. Philip Mills, a current contractor and former U.S. Army officer, stated that the pay wasn't as good as PMC's. He stated that 5 years in the Army during the war of Iraq, he would get $120,000. 2 years in a PMC in Iraq would earn him $400,000. So, what does this show us? Well, for one, it shows that money does take into effect for soldiers. He also mentioned that good soldiers from his generation aren't in militaries anymore, and they're actually private military contractors. Additionally, the PMC business is projected to grow tremendously. This is because countries like America have decided to outsource to PMCs instead of do it themselves. Outsourcing helps countries save money. Additionally, outsourcing helps countries keep the number of people they have to commit down. This includes casualty rates such as death, injury, and capture. Now, the big reason why countries outsource to PMCs is because there is less political resonation. Now, PMCs do include Americans, Chinese, Russian, British, and the list goes so on. But it's important to understand who started PMCs. Now, it's widely stated that Eric Prince, founder of Blackwater, is said to be the father of modern PMCs. He has an amazing record of 100,000 missions and no VIPs killed, or injured for that fact. This shows the quality of security that people are offered when hiring PMCs. For example, Pablo Fidanza, an international entrepreneur, hires PMCs because, as I quote, it is like having a top private army because not only are they quantity, they are quality. But on top of all the things that PMCs usually do and help at times, people often fear PMCs. One reason is because PMCs are basically their own little army. Simon Mann, a former British Special Forces officer and former contractor, stated that PMCs blur the line between offense and defense. This means that while they may be in a country to help protect said country, they might be also aggressive towards the citizens and wave their guns around, etc., etc. Additionally, PMCs are feared because of their difference in goals. Traditional militaries are often in locations because of their country's political standpoint/foreign policy, but PMCs are there to get paid. Additionally, PMCs, private military corporations, and contractors cannot be held accountable at times because there is no transparency. To further add, there is a question of allegiance. Who are they working for? It's important to take into account that these people are working for money, not for an ideology or anything of that sort. So there is potential for a PMC to turn around and shoot whoever hired them. This could be a country, this could be a VIP, anyone. And to further add insult to injury, they take soldiers that are the best and the brightest away from countries. The world of PMCs is growing, and citizens must make a choice to allow them to continuously grow or to put a limit on it.
Speaking of PMCs, one of the many things that President Trump has to take on during his presidency is gun control.
The U.S.
ironically has the world's biggest gun violence problem. Between 2000 and 2014, there were 133 public mass shootings. That's 8 mass shootings per year and around 1 mass shooting every 2 months, topping German and French mass shooting rate by more than 100%. Even when the study is scaled down though, America still had the highest rate of public mass shootings per 1 million people, overwhelmingly beating the rest of the countries. Although homicide rate has been going down since the 1990s due to tougher policies and enforcements of punishments and law, a big chunk of reported homicide are still firearm related. Suicide rate is also going up. Proliferation and easy acquisition of firearms are definitely contributing to rates of homicide and suicide in our society. So, what are the US gun control laws? States have the power to regulate firearms independently of federal firearm laws, which means states like Idaho does not follow the NFA, the National Firearms Act, which restricts certain types of guns, while states like New Jersey does. While the right to own a firearm is prohibited to fugitives from justice and mentally unstable individuals like Omar Mateen was able to legally purchase a semi-automatic rifle and a semi-automatic pistol from a local firearms store despite being on the FBI watch list. He later used those guns to shoot up the Pulse nightclub, injuring 49 people and killing 50 people. This brings up a question. How safe is America? And how effective are the gun control laws?
Additionally, one of the last things the Obama administration released to the public was a detailed plan on how the US would tackle near-Earth objects, or NEOs. That's the wrong cut. Additionally, one of the last things the Obama administration released to the public was a detailed plan on how the US would tackle near-Earth objects, or NEOs.
As Ted has stated, NEOs are objects that are near the Earth. Now, the plan that the Obama administration released was titled National Near-Earth Object Preparedness Strategy. Now, this was done by the Interagency Working Group for Detecting and Mitigating the Impact of Earthbound NEOs, or DAMIAN for short. Now, the objective of this plan, and as I quote, improve our nation's preparedness to address the hazards of near-Earth objects by enhancing the integration of existing national and international assets and adding important capabilities that are currently lacking. So what's an NEO? Well, they're near-Earth objects, and these mostly include asteroids or comets that have an orbit that brings it close to the Earth. These comets and asteroids vary in size. While we do find 5 new asteroids of all types every night, we only know about 60% of those that are greater than 1.5 kilometers wide. Now, this strategy and plan builds on top of what NASA is doing, but furthermore brings it to the next level, which is to the point of early detection. Now, the objectives that are listed in this plan are as follows. Enhance NEO detection, tracking, and characterization capabilities, develop deflection and disruption techniques, improve prediction, develop emergency procedures, and establish impact zone and response/recovery procedures, leverage and support international cooperation, and finally, establish coordination and communications protocol and thresholds for taking actions. Now, most of these are self-explanatory. Enhance NEO detection, tracking, and characterization capabilities basically builds on top of NASA's SCOUT program as well as Minor Planet Center. Now, Dev Detection and Disruption is basically Bruce Willis drilling nukes into the faces of asteroids. Now, improved prediction is to get rid of the unknowns, to find the actual trajectory and figure out the actual damage that's going to prevent. Develop emergency procedures is what to do in the event of a collision. In the event of a fire, pull the lever. Now, establishing impact zones and response recovery procedures is the last resort. This creates protocols for every single impact scenario you can think of. This includes in the ocean, on land, in a gulf, in a lake, etc., etc., etc. Leverage and support international cooperation is how will NASA and US work with other countries. Basically politics at its finest. And finally, establish coordination and communications protocols and thresholds for taking actions. Basically communications. Who gets told first, and what do we do? Do we deflect, disrupt, prepare for the impact, and the list goes on. Now, as a disclaimer, this plan won't directly save us. It is simply a plan. But the fact that the White House decided to actually map out all the steps that they want to take is pretty groundbreaking. And this brings us closer to a state of readiness, which is pretty comforting for those of us that understand that we're just a big rock in the middle of the solar system, which is full of debris. But the good news is that potentially hazardous asteroids have less than 0.01% chance of impacting Earth in the next 100 years. So we don't really need to worry about it too soon, but better safe than sorry. While President Donald Trump has many scandals, the South Korean president also has many of her own. President Park Geun-hye has been found guilty of spending government funds for personal gains, as well as leaking government secrets to her civilian friends. Thanks for watching another segment of Dice News. We hope you've enjoyed this little segment of ours, and if you did, we'd hope you'd be willing to like and subscribe to our channel. Additionally, we hope you'd go and support us on our Patreon and GoFundMe pages. Thanks, and have a nice day.